What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. The trade idea yesterday ended up playing out pretty nicely, even though I didn't have a quite clear call. But the scenarios that I kind of painted out yesterday, in the sense that, okay, if you do not get a changes there that reads with the downside into the Bitcoin, then you're going to be looking for a pump. If you guys recall the exact timing that I mentioned, anywhere between 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So right here on the 5-minute chart, you did not get this changes to delivery. And so at exactly 10:40, you swept out sell-side liquidity. Boom, you break structure. That is a change in sale delivery. And then at this line right here, you spent the next like 15 minutes or so, like 1, 2, 3, 5-minute candles, spent by at least a good 10 minutes around this area before ultimately started pumping. And the thing that makes me super happy is the amount of people that I've seen in the comments that didn't only catch Bitcoin, but also caught the move on Solana, which yesterday we also talked about Solana, how we would look for a retracement into $219 around the hours of 7:30 to 8:30. At 7:40, you got the retracement and boom, off you go. And yeah, yesterday was 2 very solid trades. So that is going to be win number 103 up to the last 129 videos. Now, of course, I'm just counting as one win. I can not go, if I make like 7 different coins in one video, I could count there's 7 wins. In general, it was the same call because, well, price tends, as long as they're not going, it tends to move pretty similarly to Bitcoin. So yeah, if you're new to this channel, just understand that they're probably at the right place because we tend to be right more often than we're wrong. But anyways, in today's video, we're going to get into Bitcoin. We're going to get into Solana again. Ethereum is looking pretty great. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about Hyperliquid. If you guys recall, Hyperliquid is, I think, like in this whole year, I've only made one video about an altcoin, like saying that it will be the next 100x. At the time when I made that video, Hyperliquid was sitting at like $10 or something, or at least it went as low as like $7. And back at the time, I think it would have actually put it out of the top 100 of all altcoins just recently. In fact, I think today, Hyperliquid has finally hit top 10 altcoins. And guys, we rarely miss, especially if I make a video about, guys, what can I say? Look, I had the vision, I called it. Hopefully you guys watch that video and actually take advantage of it though. But the setup I'm going to give you into the Hyperliquid today is going to be closer to an intraday / even a short-term trade. Then I'm also going to discuss swing trade opportunities, of course. But anyways, enough chit-chatting. Let's get into the video. So again, weekly candle close bullish. We are expecting bullishness here in terms of Bitcoin because you are bouncing from this order block. Again, if you're a long-term trader, I feel like I'm rinsing. I feel like I'm sounding like breaking record now, but like this is the place to buy, especially because next week you're going to have FOMC as well as a very close to 100% chance of a rate cut. We don't know anything about rate cuts. Just understand that risk on assets like Bitcoin, like the stock market, indices or whatever, anything that is speculative in nature, they perform immensely well in conditions where you have low interest rates, because low interest rates ultimately lead to more liquidity. And of course, like for money to flow into risk on assets, like the point in all these speculative assets, you need spare cash. And that is where that liquidity comes to play. Again, we're going to have a very high chance of getting a rate cut next week. And so, yeah, the way that everything's stepping up, the fact that you are still maintaining mountain structure, the fact that you're still maintaining quarter flow, the fact that you are bouncing off of a bullish weekly order block right now, of 1 week before that news event drops, this is all going to be a really good sign, especially this week closes bullish as well. So far we are bullish on the week, and we're very likely bullish heading into next week as well. Now, the interesting thing about yesterday is that we finally got a convincing change in state of delivery above this level. So right here already started, and if you guys recall what I said yesterday, this entire block here is now your bullish order block, which means that any time that you spend inside this bullish order block is just going to be an opportunity for you to jump higher. Clerics, add this in.
We are still looking for longs overall. Secondly, on the daily chart, you have managed to successfully close above this series of down close candles with this candle right here, which means in the event that you retrace back into this zone, like anywhere within this zone, this is going to be an area of support that you can dive into for price to jump higher.
And this is exactly what happened yesterday. Now, it doesn't matter if it's in there for a few days, but whatever the case, we had a pretty decent jump. And because yesterday's candle closed bullish as well, now we are bullish on today. Now, in terms of today, obviously this is going to be some kind of external range liquidity for us to take advantage of. And so realistically, we may see like this week's weekly target, potentially next week, we're going to touch $170,000. And of course, once you break $170,000, it's only a matter of time until you break the new full-time high. But anyways, just understand that because yesterday's candle closed bullish, we are looking for bullish trades so far. We may be in some kind of bearish, kind of resistance so far, but the fact that price is showing such a strong bullish reaction leads me to believe that the trade for today is going to be bullish. Now, once we come down to the 1 hourly chart, we can see that we have 2 PD arrays that we're working with at the very moment. If you guys follow me on Twitter, which by the way, I highly recommend you do it, because on days like yesterday where I straight up just didn't have enough information to make a call within the video, I do talk about it on Twitter. Like, I do live trading basically. And yeah, I get super happy, super proud actually to see all of you like able to catch and take advantage of these videos that I make and actually make money with them. And if you're part of those few people that aren't consistently making money from this, or even if you aren't, this coming Saturday, we're going to be hosting a workshop. Well, I'm not the one hosting a workshop, but the head coach here in AOC is going to be hosting a workshop. He's going to be breaking up his entire swing trading strategy framework. And you're going to walk out of this workshop having a full step-by-step guide on not only how to read the markets, just like the way that I've been doing here in the smart money perspective. You're going to understand how to read liquidity, but most importantly, you're going to be able to turn all of this knowledge and all of this info into a tangible system that can trade Pi in the time we get. This is going to be super in-depth masterclass. We actually usually only do this for bootcamp members, but this was a bit too valuable to gatekeep. And so if you're interested in a masterclass, keep the first link in the description box below. This coming Saturday feeds in about 2 days. Secure your spot while there are still spots. Anyways, on Twitter this morning, I was talking about how, you're already starting to get a convincing changes at delivery. But anyways, going back into the charts, this is a 1 hourly order block. This is the first PE rate that we're going to be paying attention to. And the second one, of course, is this further gap right here. Now, it's also interesting to note that this further gap is lining up with this weak low, as well as this previous candle body, high. Well, whatever the case, this is going to be both of the key areas that we're looking for price to retrace into before we bounce. Now, as for which level is going to get hit, that does not really matter. One of the things that you need to come to terms with, or at least understand about trading, that we don't need to predict what the market is going to do. We just need to prepare a few key areas and prepare a couple of scenarios, just like what we did yesterday. But when the time comes, you simply read and react depending on which scenario is playing out. Boom. Okay. So if price seems to be bouncing from this area when we reach the timing, then obviously this is going to be the bottom and we're going to jump. It doesn't matter. Imagine what would happen if you try to predict all of this. Yeah, okay, price is going to come here. Okay, what if it doesn't? What if it bounces from here? And you're going to miss the whole trade entirely. If you're dead set on this being the bottom, then what if price comes down here? Then you would have lost trade and the price would have headed in the other direction, or in the direction that you already knew. So it's less about predicting. It's both these are valid, and it's just a matter of waiting for the behavior of price when price actually gets into these lows. By the way, these are going to be the 2 key arrays, and there is a third potential kind of block where if you start pumping right now, as of the time they're recording this video, it's about 5 a.m. And if you start pumping and you don't seem to be retracing all the way down here, that this could potentially become a new order block. Now again, just making predictions here, because obviously I'm filming this video a bit earlier than brief. So if you get something like this is also super valid as well. Either way, whatever the case, the setup for today, you are looking for longs. You're not moving for shorts. In fact, the first available kind of area that you need to breach in order to start looking for shorts, it's if you breach this level and you do something like this, basically you want to see two consecutive lower lows without forming some kind of new high. If that happens, then yeah, you can definitely start looking for shorts. But personally, I would wait until tomorrow, because something that we do in our trading strategy is that we have time frame alignment. Essentially, we want the daily chart to be pointing up, the 1 hourly pointing up, and the 5-minute chart pointing towards the upside before we take end trades. In this case, if we're going to look for shorts, well, guess what? The daily is still pointing towards the upside, and the 1 hourly is still pointing towards the upside. So, not going to be looking for shorts today. Call is very much towards the long side. And now that we have understood that, let's hop into lower time frames, and we can see that the Asia high has yet to be taken. So yeah, this is going to align with the scenario right now that I've just given you, where there are relatively equal lows on the Asia, you just right underneath the Asia lows. So if we were to sweep the Asia lows and you start seeing a willingness price to start respecting bullish order blocks and start going to the upside, then that's what you look for. That is going to be the ideal setup. And again, this spread here is considered a weak low on the 1 hourly chart, which means that this is a low that didn't sweat liquidity beforehand. And so it wouldn't be surprising if price were to revisit this area for a quick wick, just sweeping it, and then you get a strong reversal. Now, I did tell you earlier that I would get into timing for today. A lot of people tend to say that, It's kind of like magic, the way that we're able to predict moves to like to the hour, or like sometimes even to the minute or even 5 minutes. But the reality is it's nothing special. It's just taking a look at news, because like today, news is going to drop at 8:30 a.m. And based on my experience, and also again, like been doing these videos for 7 months in a row now, and on days where there is news, the best opportunities tend to come an hour before news to an hour after news. So that's going to be kind of like your, like that Goldilocks zone, right? That sweet spot of where you ideally like to look for trades. So ideally, look for trades around 7:30 a.m. onwards, and expect a trade to last till somewhere around 9:30 a.m. to potentially 10 a.m. So yet that's going to be the timing. Essentially, what you like, if that liquidity sweep happens, it will happen before 7:30 a.m. and then you will start seeing some kind of like willingness, the price to go towards the upside, and this will all be set in place before 8:30 a.m. like before the news. This is just going to be like what you saw yesterday, where you sweep out some kind of liquidity at 7:30, and then before the news even begins at 8:30, you already broke into the upside, you already had, bullish CLSD, and there's already a clear willingness and rise to go towards the upside. That is what you want to look for today. So whether or not you sweep this, blah, 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 I don't care. Just look for that willingness to go to the upside. Ideally, you're not trading into relative deep lows. For example, right now, both of these lows right here are relative deep lows. You do not want to be thinking along like here and placing stop loss underneath it, because more likely than not, you are going to be swept out. Feel free to, when this video goes live, and just check, like, most likely we'll see these lows get swept out. And yet, just look for bullish order blocks to be respected, and that is going to be your trade setup for Bitcoin. And with that on Bitcoin, let's take a quick look at Ethereum. Ethereum is showing a really strong reaction so far, and it looks like this bearish order block here is going to be disrespected. Besides that, you are definitely reaching for this external range liquidity here. Now, if there's something that I have gotten, kind of wrong, is the fact that because these are all relatively equal lows back here, I was actually anticipating Ethereum to sweep out these lows first before pumping. So who knows? Maybe we might just start pumping straight from here on out and, not revisit these lows for a solid moment. Maybe you might even take out that external range liquidity first before you start reversing to take out this, sell side to external range liquidity. Who knows? But either way, right now, the daily bias is towards the upside. The 1 hourly, you've already got a change in set of delivery over here. In fact, you already got it over here. So like you were already bullish starting from this point onwards. And right now, this entire block here is going to become support for Ethereum. So today, this setup probably is, if you return back to this area, we're going to want to look for a pump towards the upside. We get targeting that external range liquidity on the bar side. And if I had a choice between picking between Bitcoin and Ethereum today, there's going to be a tough call, but I think both are valid. So it just depends on your personal preference. I, of course, will stick Bitcoin. I trade Bitcoin much more often than Ethereum. So I'm just going to stick to that for no particular reason. Like both of them looks, equally just as strong. So this is not one of those days. Although if there is just one fair bit of warning that I can give you, is just because they both look equally as strong does not mean you take both trades today. The danger of opening multiple positions at once on crypto is that they are essentially the same chart, just with different package, in the sense that if Bitcoin were to pump, most things are like almost every single crypto that is of relevance, they're going to pump as well. Also, if Bitcoin dumps, well, guess what? Everything's going to dump. So if you start opening, like let's say you open 4 longs today on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Hyperliquid, if Bitcoin ends up dumping, guess what? You have now just taken the same trade 4 times, but it's the same trade. You've taken it 4 times, you've risked, a big chunk of your portfolio, much bigger than otherwise, then yeah, it's just not a smart thing to do. Now, if you start, spreading out your trades, for example, you take one Bitcoin, you take one on NASDAQ, and you take one on, let's say, USD Canadian, or like the Swiss franc, Japanese yen, or whatever, then those 3 are relatively uncorrelated assets in the sense that Bitcoin goes up, that's not going to affect Euro going up. If Euro goes up, if the NASDAQ, I think I said the NASDAQ. And if the NASDAQ goes up, that's not going to directly lead to, let's say, the Swiss franc going up. So in this case, they all move at their own pace. That is how you want to diversify your positions. With crypto, it's never a good idea to take multiple positions, especially like opening them at the same time. I'd rather you just stick to like 1%, 2% of those on one. Again, I don't want to say 2. I'll just stick to one asset and like if you spread your risk out just a little bit, maybe you could do 1% on Bitcoin, maybe like 0.25, 0.5 on Ethereum. And that's how you spread yourself out. Ensure that, whatever moves happen, you are still positioned to take advantage of it, but you're not going to be wiped out if you end up, being wrong on one of them and, subsequently being more all of them. Anyways, in terms of Solana, taking a look, by the way, this all was spot on yesterday. This was beautiful. I did say yesterday that Solana would be on the stronger charts, especially compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think that has been true so far. Just retracing back here, stop loss here to R, super easy. Yesterday was definitely the clean straight. Anyways, the daily chart is bullish, right? We have bullish daily bias, and this is now a bullish order block. And so far, you can see that we've spent the majority of the day retracing within this order block. And right now, you are showing a willingness to go towards the upside. So the setup for today, in fact, you've already gotten a change of state delivery right here. So depending on when you watch this video, just understand that if you're retracing here, this is already good enough to just basically start short and take profit to up. If you do miss this entry, no worries. Just understand that again. In fact, even if you take a look at the 5-minute chart, this is the Asia session. This is the London session, which is manipulation, or at least it's looking like manipulation. And if Bitcoin goes up, then 100% is going to be distribution. Already, we're getting a change state in delivery on the 5-minute chart. So this is already a valid entry. But if you miss this, just keep riding this high up. Like depending on, for example, by the time you watch this video, if Solana is already here, that it may be a better idea to focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum instead. Anyways, going to talk about Hyperliquid real quick, because this is kind of like my baby. This is one of the biggest positions that I've taken on this entire cycle. I could kind of see the conviction very early on. And yeah, I'm really glad that I took advantage of it, and definitely be paid off for even holding through like a 70% drawdown. But all good, all's well that ends well. Anyways, in terms of the weekly chart, right now you are pumping and you are forming a new all-time high. This is going to become your new bullish order block if this weekly candle closes towards the bullish direction, just like how price account support at this weekly bullish order block over here. So when you go to the daily chart, you have a bullish daily bias, and in terms of the daily chart, you are, well, first of all, if you retrace back into $50 right here at 49, it's going to be a superb area to buy. Not only does this align with a weekly area, also aligns with a bullish order block on the daily chart. So this level right here at 49, great area to buy. But for today, the intraday setup is going to be down to the 1 hourly chart. You will see that there is a order block right here, a bullish order block, and so far price is retracing into it right now. And we have a Asia session. Right now, London is sweeping below the Asia session, which means you're going to look for a similar setup to Solana, whereby you are going to look for CISD. So probably either this one or this one right here. Going to want to look for price to break put this, flip it into support. This is where you take an entry, click and stop. There's a 2R. Now, if I want to go for more certainty, I'll use this upper one at 55.55. If I'm going for, the more aggressive entry, I would stick to 55.35. Either one's valid. Again, you are right now filling in this key level right here. So in the event, let's say you are too late on Solana, that potentially you can take advantage of Hyperliquid instead. Anyways, a bit of a longer video today. I'm definitely going to see you guys later on Twitter to do a bit of live trading. So follow me on Twitter at _theartofcrypto if you haven't already. And again, this Saturday, this masterclass is going to be a banger. Now, we don't usually open up workshops for people outside the bootcamp, but this time around, we're doing it. So check out the link in the description box below before the event starts. Not something you want to miss out on. Anyways, guys, see you in tomorrow's video. Ciao, ciao.